You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zingit Solutions, Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle. Hey everybody, Jim Chester here. I have Bruce Hurley that way. He is out there in Charlotte, North Carolina area. I am here in Grand Junction, which is the Grand Valley on the western slope of Colorado, which I like to say it's where no one lives, and I moved here to hear the birds chirp. So with that being said, this is a special edition. This is for the Chiropractic Experts Network group. And Bruce Hurley is one of the founders of that group, so I think it's a real honor to have him on today. And he has a company that he helps chiropractors with. I'm going to flash it up on the bottom of the screen here, and it is mindfluencerevolution.com. So, Bruce, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. It's been great talking to you, catching up a little bit here, and looking forward to having this call.
Yeah, and just like everything else out there, Bruce, I think everybody should follow the lead of my shirt and expect miracles. And I think sometimes we have to get to the core of how to release those miracles, though. So let's talk a little bit about your company and what it does for the chiropractic profession.
Well, our company's a little bit different. It's funny. My mom gets asked, like, what does your son do? And her standard reply for a long time was, nobody knows what my son does. And so hopefully that's changed a little bit. But for a long time, I did a lot of different things. But ever since I got with my business partner, Dr. Norton, about 12 years ago, we've really focused on the human aspect of helping businesses achieve more of what they want. So one of the things that we're doing for the profession in general is helping to change the perspective from a strictly external one, a marketing, sales-based one, to a more internal one, because we believe that the solutions that people are looking for, whether it's fulfillment or success or abundance or time freedom or contribution, that those things can really only be achieved if people are appropriately addressing the human factors. And when I say human factors, I mean, what do you do? How do you do it? Why do you do the things you do? Why do the people you work with do what they do? What's the difference in their values? What's the difference in the way they see the world? And also looking at the people you serve. Why do they do what they do? What motivates them? How can we influence them to take action that's in their own best interest? Because that's ultimately what needs to be done. And influence is a big part of what we do. So important that we put it right into the name of our company. So we have mind and influence, the merging of those things, the mind being the brain science, the human behavior, those kind of things. All these, why and how that I've been talking about, and the influence, which is where the rubber meets the road, and getting people to take action, because nothing happens unless they take action, and that's influencing the people you work with, influencing yourself, and also influencing the people you serve to take that positive action. So that's the perspective we want to create in the profession, and that's the value that we provide for the people that we serve.
And I think it's really cool, like the stance that you've taken with merging the two. And I did your guys' assessments and testing, and came back as a passionate promoter. And I think that's really cool that you can do all of these questionnaires, and you can figure out what somebody's strengths are. And then maybe you can start fashioning a direction for somebody based on what their experiences are, and what they are in their core. And I think that that's really cool to understand people from, the mindset, but also the human experience aspect of that.
Right. And we hear all the time from people that when we do these assessments, that it seems like we know them better than they know themselves, or they're just surprised how well this has kind of dug deep into who they are, and really help shine a light on who they are and help them understand themselves better. But it is just a tool. This is not a shortcut to really knowing everything about somebody, but these assessments and different things. And we have some proprietary ones that we've created, and we have some from companies that have been in the business of doing these kind of psychological and personality assessments for decades. So we use every tool at our disposal in order to get to know people as well as we can, to find out what motivates them and what is going to get them to the next level. ultimately that's what it is, because the kind of work I used to do with businesses was very much about saying, hey, if somebody else has done this, then do the same thing they've done or do the same thing I've done and you'll get the same results. But I found out that that's folly, because everybody's different. You can't get the same results. And you and I were talking earlier about, Tony Robbins and people who operate at that kind of level. And you think, okay, if I just do what Tony Robbins did, I just write a book and start talking to people and create a cassette series, or like he did way back then, or DVDs or whatever, and online, that I'm going to get the same success. Well, that's not the case, because everybody's different. So one of the things that we're passionate about is personalizing the experience. And that's not only for the people that we help, but also we help those people personalize the experience for the people they're serving. And so that personalized aspect has to consider who these people are and what makes them tick. And until you get better at understanding how that works, even without having the benefit of an assessment, then you're missing out on a lot of opportunity to create contribution and value.
So this is like marketing, like baseline to me, because what you guys are doing is you guys are discovering the problem of the problem.
That's right. Well, yeah, it's interesting. One of the things that we say, which is kind of requires a little thinking, but anyway, the kind of work that we do, it's the work that makes all your other work work. In other words, it's the kind of foundational skill sets and mindsets that you need to bring in order to make your marketing work for you, in order to make your internal systems work for you, in order to get your people to say yes to the things that are in their own best interest. All that relies on who you are as a human being, who your people are that you work with and who work for you. And until you optimize that, there's no point in dumping a lot of money, time, and energy into these other things when you haven't even come close to optimizing the thing that's really more fundamental and foundational than any of that, which is how you're being and how you're engaging those people and what's the likelihood that you're going to influence them to a positive outcome.
Yeah, and I think sometimes we do have to brand to each other, and we have to understand what a personal brand is before we can actually start to develop a character. And I think that when we think about fundamentals of, marketing or storytelling or character building or business for that matter, and having like a charismatic leader, we need to actually know what the core of that person is so that they can start building those narratives and they can start having those dialogues and they can start living into what would be their best interest because of the characteristics of that person, that passion within them, that maybe is the one thing, that 1% of uniqueness that nobody else possesses.
That's right. And that's exactly the kind of perspective you need to bring to this, because if you're treating everybody the same and you're not acknowledging the differences in people, whether they're on your team, whether they're the people you're creating value for every day, then you're leaving way too much potential contribution, potential value on the table, and ultimately you're not going to get the things that you're looking to get, the outcomes you're looking for, the abundance, the fulfillment, and those kind of things. Because those all come from creating higher value for people, including the people you work with.
And I guess at this point in the interview, the conversation we're having is you doing what you do in your culmination of a career and where you're at right now. What do you enjoy most about what you get a chance to do for yourself and for others?
Well, it's interesting, because I've been in business for myself since I was 10 years old, and I started professionally helping people when I was about 20, and I just had my 55th birthday. So I've been doing this for a long time. I've had a lot of different kind of businesses, but I've always helped people in business because it's what I'm passionate about. And I used to really enjoy helping people and helping them to start a business or take their business to the next level or whatever it is that people were looking to do. That was always fun, but it wasn't really until we started to do this work and the work I started to do with Dr. Norton that it changed for me, that it really felt like this is the highest level contribution I can do. And that was because of the difference in focus and the more human focus of that. And so to me, it's much more fulfilling now than it ever has been. And that's because of the epiphanies and the breakthroughs that are created as a result of the work we do. We have literally never asked anybody for any kind of a testimonial or any words or anything, but yet we have collected over 200 unsolicited statements from people, testimonials, if you will, experiences that show that the work that we've done with them has really changed their lives at a higher level. Excuse me, help them tap into their inner genius, and has created a breakthrough for them in some way or another. And usually those breakthroughs are human ones rather than we need to do better with our lead generation. We can address some of those things in the work that we do, but we're mostly about the human factor because that's where you're going to get to true breakthroughs. So that's the thing that most jazzes me and gets me excited about the work that we do.
So I guess more focused related on our group, the Chiropractic Experts Network. Why is this type of work so important for chiropractors?
You mean as far as the Chiropractic Experts Network?
Well, as the chiropractic profession as a whole, I know you guys have started the Chiropractic Experts Network group to service the chiropractic profession. Why is it so important for people, the top level producers? I call them the 1%ers. Chiropractors are that group of 1% of the world population. They're actually doctors. So you would think that they'd have high level of charisma, high level like self-awareness, high level business stance. But sometimes there's holes in our armor as we become this valor, as we become this educated, human on this lifelong journey. So I know that there's probably some holes in the story that people don't know about themselves. So I see that a lot of times in the chiropractic profession, especially as people of high regard and high influence, they still don't have it all figured out.
Well, and that's absolutely true because first of all, we have our own human failings. Most people are aware of some of their challenges. One of the things that they're often not aware of, by the way, is their opportunities, the strengths that they have that they're not fully utilizing. So it's not appropriate just to focus on where you're lacking or where you might be needing to improve in order to do better at what it is you want to do, but also to take advantage of your strengths. And so you have to get a handle on that and fully optimize that as well. But yeah, everybody knows that they have some things and some things they don't know. Some things they couldn't possibly be aware of because it requires third-party perspective. And in any kind of chiropractic practice, there may be a number of different things that they need help with on a personal level, but also on a professional level. So one of the reasons we created the Chiropractic Experts Network is to address the challenges that they may have on a systemic or a training basis, where they need solutions for certain problems that they have. And we know that there are people out there who have inspired solutions for those challenges, but they may not know who they are. So the Chiropractic Experts Network being an invitation-only group, it encourages just the highest level of people in there, the people who are getting the benefits of it, and the people who are in there with the most connection are generally the ones who are doing the best work for the chiropractors. And therefore, it becomes a resource for all of us to the people we serve to have other solutions for them that are outside of the scope of the work that we do.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Close for Chiro, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Chiro Thin, Imaging Services, Zingit Solutions, Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, Everest Coaching Systems, Universal Tractioning Systems, Rhino Coaching, Chiropractic Jobs Online, and Chiro Matchmakers. Let's hustle. And one of the things you touched on there is I think is really cool about the group, and thank you for having me in the group. It's a great honor for me to be in there with so many influencers in a profession that I absolutely love and serve. But when I'm in that group, I feel so inspired because there's so much influence from people that actually aren't chiropractors. Right. And I think that's a really cool perspective, is that we have people that are like warriors for the profession, that are in there, that are helping with marketing, helping with strategic planning, helping with communication tactics. And I think that I always call us the Avengers of chiropractic that nobody knows about. But I think that we have a lot of influence inside of that group that's actually looking at the bright spots in the profession and looking at how we can start filling the holes in the business model of the profession actually expanding and growing and becoming the lightness that it should be, is the healing art, the science and the philosophy that supports this beautiful profession. And I think that having people out there that say, those are some really important people, they do a really important job, how can we serve them and make their voice be heard better? And I think that that's a really cool position that we both have within working in this group. So kudos to, staying with the course with this too. It's been, how long have we been together as a team?
Oh, I wouldn't know actually. Let's see. I would think,
At least a year.
yeah, it's over a year. Yeah, for sure. But still, it's young. But there's so much potential for what this could be because of the great relationships that come through it. And that's really what it is. We don't call it a networking group or a lead generation group. This is a relationship group. And that's an important distinction, because all the value comes from relationships. None of it comes from just going through a directory and saying, okay, I'm going to refer to this person because they are in this group. I'm not saying it's impossible for that to happen, but that's not where the value is. The value is in actually connecting with these people, getting to know them, and developing a relationship with them, so that it becomes much more natural to engage them, to learn about what they're doing, and to use that knowledge to better serve the people that you work for, and who have hired you to help them, and also to steer them in the direction of other kinds of services and value offerings that could make a huge difference in their practice. So the chiropractic profession in general, has PR issues, doesn't it? I mean, there's a lot of misconceptions out there. Dr. Norton and I did a semi-famous series when he was speaking at Parker Seminars one time, and it was an interview of people on the street about their perception of the chiropractic, just asking certain questions, and the degree of misinformation and ignorance about the profession it would be comical, I guess, if it wasn't tragic. It was really terrible, but. So it got some nervous laughter from the audience and all that. And then we showed them, to get them out of the depression that might have caused, we showed them the interviews of Dr. Norton's patients who were the polar opposite and actually could explain the benefits of chiropractic better than most chiropractors, right? So there's that kind of a gap between what we know is good for people and what they know is good for themselves. So that requires a special kind of person supporting that industry in order to help get over that and bridge that gap. So that's why I think the Chiropractic Experts Network is so beneficial, because it's not just helping ourselves, it's not just helping the people we serve, it's helping the profession.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool thing that you said there is we all spend time together and we give each other resources, and not one person in that group is looking for something out of the next person. We show up, we share our knowledge, we share our depth of intelligence, and we share a common message, and that's one of supporting chiropractic. So all of you chiropractic experts that are out there, love you guys. Thank you for always meeting up and sharing your truths with each other and helping the beautiful profession of chiropractic take steps in the forward direction rather than worrying about what's been done in the past. And I think that that's a big part of where we're going with the mindfulness revolution too, is you guys help people go to where they're supposed to go instead of worrying about what's happened in the past, but getting clear on that. And that's the other part about the chiropractic profession, is getting clear on where you've come from to where you can make better decisions going forward. And that would just be my 2 cents as a influencer in the profession, is be clear on the history, be clear on yesterday, but plan for the next day and the future. And I think that that's something that we're all doing as a cumulative effort with the Experts Network. Let's turn the chapter a little bit forward. I know we're running up on the edge of our time together, but let's talk granular. What does it look like for someone if they want to come in and work with the chiropractic mindfulness group with what you guys do with Mindfulness Revolution? If there's a chiropractor out there listening that's like, this makes a lot of sense to me, I need to do that assessment. What does it look like A through Z if somebody wants to onboard and work with you?
Okay, well, there's a few different things. We have various programs that people can get started with. One of our metaphors that we use is our primary one is the Wizard of Oz, right? And the Emerald City is your passionately desired destination. It's the ultimate outcome that you want to achieve? What's the experience of everybody involved with your practice? What's your experience? What's the experience of your team? What's the experience of the people you serve? And what's the experience of your community? If you achieve that ideal outcome, like what does all that look like? And we help people create that. We haven't, it's, that's a whole kind of experience and an entire process just to get to that part of it. But what we do, that's in common with every level of interaction and engagement we have with people, is we start with finding out who they are and who their team is, and well, not their team as a group, but each individual team member is, and find out where the opportunities are. And then with that information, we can create a yellow brick road, if you will, which is the pathway to the Emerald City. And that's more of the how-to. So we start out with getting to know them. Then we find out, okay, what's it gonna take to inspire them to take action? Part of that inspiration is creating that Emerald City to begin with, so that they have this attractive force, this moving towards outcome, rather than just some arbitrary, we just want to make more money or we want to help more people. It's very specific, and it's a whole story is created out of that, the Emerald City story. And that becomes not only a compelling and attractive force, but also becomes the backbone of their culture. That's really the experience of their culture. So we've identified their culture. That's a very important aspect of what we do. So once we do all these human discoveries, and we find out who everybody is, we create a unique plan for them to get where they want to go. And that includes all the different aspects of their practice, their personal inspiration, their outreach, which is kind of the term we use that supplants marketing in our vernacular. We still believe in marketing, but what we call marketing is really more passive marketing, like online stuff, pay-per-click, and traditional advertisements and radio and those kind of things. And outreach is more of a human engagement. It's more of us discovering the public's unmet needs and then reaching out to those people who have those needs and resolving those needs. And to us, that's a different process than marketing. And then connection, which is how to form connections with people, and that's using some of this information about human behavior and everything that we talked about, education, and then ultimately influence. And influence is where, as I said before, it's where the rubber meets the road, because if you're unable to influence people to take action, then nothing happens, right? So all those things need to be addressed. So that's really what we do, is we go through that whole process and we create a plan for them to get where they're going to go. And along the way, they learn something about themselves. They learn how to get along better with not just the people they work with, but their spouses. We've been credited, not that this is the work we do, but we've been credited a couple times with saving marriages, certainly contributing to a lot more, because one of the things that we do is we also work with spouses. So we'll do assessments and everything on those people. So once we have that information, the way that we deliver that is through very specific training. So we provide training materials, which may be audio, video, written exercises, assignments, and sometimes role playing, different things, different kind of training materials to get them better at the things they need to get better at, and to take advantage of the strengths that they already have. Then that's not enough for people, because people also need support. They need to know how they're doing it. They need to be tweaked. They need to be monitored. There needs to be accountability, and there needs to be continued inspiration. So we provide all those things for them through phone calls, through group calls, through different kinds of multimedia elements that we have, ways of keeping in touch with people. So it's a very immersive experience, but it doesn't take a tremendous amount of people's time, but it does take focused time. And generally we work with people for a year at a time, but we do have other offerings where it's not quite so intense, maybe more cost effective for people, a little less expensive, more of a group experience. So we've got ways to meet people where they are. In fact, it's our policy to meet people at the intersection of their highest need and their ability to invest in a solution. So because of that, we've created some less expensive ways to engage us, but it always incorporates at least those elements that I just mentioned.
Yeah, I think that what you said is basically what one of the buzzwords of 2018 was for me, was biohacking. And what you guys do is you look into hack people's personality traits, what they're involved with, who they spend their time with, what their behaviors are, where their mindset is at this particular time, and then developing systems and strategies to help somebody finding what their greatest assets are and then developing themselves around those, which would save somebody's relationship purportedly. It would help save somebody's marriage if they were acting out of those alignments. That it would definitely make a relationship suffer around you. So, paying attention to the small things helps you make the most out of the big things. And I think that's something that you guys have really achieved with helping people. I know last thing that I want you to do is if people did want to work with you and they did want to reach out to you personally, and I've had your website on the conversation most of the time here, mindfluencerevolution.com. I know that's your website, but if people wanted to reach out to you personally, email and phone number, how can people reach out?
They can't reach out. We're unavailable. No, I'm just kidding. All right. No, in fact, we have a mission to reach 1,000 people. And so any kind of connection we're very open to and looking forward to. So you'll find us to be very accessible people and people who really care about your outcomes. So we would love for anybody to reach out to us, and we have lots of value we can create for you without having to spend a nickel. So please do that. Check out our website, mindfluencerevolution.com. The best email to reach us is team, T-E-A-M, at mindfluencerevolution.com. And I guess it's important to remember that mindfluence doesn't have the in and influence there. We took the in out. So it's mind, F-L-U-E-N-C-E, revolution.com. And we have a phone number that you can call 24 hours a day. It's 559-964-7090. That's 559-964-7090. So that's really the best way to get in touch with us. Or go to the website form there, and one of the things that we offer there.
Well, I think we had a good role of conversation there, telling people about what you do, who you are, and how you help people, and what we do as a team, as Chiropractic Experts Network. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you'd like to share today?
Well, I think that the importance of relationships in everything that we do. I mean, this has become something you hear a lot about, but to be honest, I really didn't, as many times as I heard that, I really didn't fully embrace that until, the last 6 or 7 years. And whatever it is that you're lacking in your business, whether you're in the business of supporting chiropractors or you're a chiropractor yourself, in any kind of business, or in any kind of endeavor, really, it all comes down to relationships. That there is somebody who you need to understand better that would help you out, or there's somebody out there who can be a solution for you. But that all comes down to relationships. And so if you don't really recognize that and fully appreciate that, I think that's the first place to start. And it's exciting because it's so much more fun when you have a relationship-based business rather than a systems-based business, because it's just more fulfilling. We're social creatures, and the more that we're able to connect with each other and fellow human beings, and have that work and that connection lead to better outcomes for everybody, that's just the most rewarding, most fulfilling thing in the world. And so I'm excited to be a part of helping people get that outcome.
And what you just said there is called relationship equity, relationship capital. And then when you start building those bonds, then you can join arms together, and then you can go in the same direction and help more people. I think that that's really cool. One of the things they used to say, it's not who you know, it's how you treat who you know. But it's not who you know. It's not what you know, it's who you know, but it's how you treat who you know is the next level up. So I think that if we think about, it's not us, it's about each other, and it's about how we treat each other. I think that those are some real fundamental things there, even if it's like at the end of our interview here, most people probably won't get to hear, but I'm just saying, like, if people really dial down into who they are, and then they realize the relationships that they have access to, and then it's all based on the perception of how you interact with those relationships that you have access to. And I think that that's something that's deeply important for people to understand. And just want to say thank you, Bruce, for spending some time with me today. Thank you for having the moxie to stick with the Chiropractic Experts Network. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of that team.
Yeah, and you're building up a lot of relationship equity right now doing these interviews, and just appreciate you very much. You're a person who gives first and is not afraid with leading with value and contribution, and that's going to benefit you, but it's mostly going to benefit the people who are lucky enough to engage you and to be involved with you. So thank you.
Well, it's an honor for me to be able to hold this space. I tell everybody out there that if everybody could do these type of interviews, then we'd be saturated with them. But it does take a certain level of confidence. It takes a certain level of, expertise. And one of my friends, just to close out this, he's like, how did you get good at that? I go, you do 300 of them and you'll get good at it too.
That's true.
But I just want to say once again, thank you to everybody out there that watches these episodes. And if you do find some value in this, hashtag value in the comments there. And if you are watching this on replay, hashtag replay to know that you watched this after it was done. And if you do have any questions for Bruce or myself or for Mindfluence Revolution, I'm going to flash their website up one more time so you guys know how to reach out to Bruce. And if you rewind about 5 minutes, you can hear how to call him and you can get the information on how to email. And that's team@mindfluencerevolution.com. So I'm going to close out if that's okay.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All right. You guys are just one story away. Keep hustling. We'll see you on the next one. Thanks, Bruce. Thank you for listening to Chiro Hustle Live. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.